I'm very not aware of what the fuck I'm doing. I'm usually on the other side.
So when did you guys start your channel?
This week.
Cool.
And I'm an idiot, so I agreed to it. So, tonight, well, in this video, I have another camera here.
Okay.
Just so you know, I'm not talking to a wall.
Gotcha.
Because I am a nerd, so a film nerd obviously has more than one camera.
Cameras everywhere.
Cameras everywhere. You should see the one in my closet, because sometimes I hide there. Okay, so in this video I'm going to talk to the motherlode of Carmilla fandom blogs, so to speak. Shut up, Doc. And a lot of people don't know her face because she's, hiding behind mutants, bodyguards and stuff like that, and a lab coat that's probably splattered in some substances. So Carmilla Feels HQ, also known in real life as Laura Slay Richmond. Soon to be Dr. Laura Slay Richmond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Oh, yeah. So, how did you get into Carmilla?
Good old-fashioned Tumblr. It was one of those things that just sort of popped up a few times on my dash. Pretty early on in the whole process. A friend of mine had watched the first couple of episodes and said, "Hey, I think you should watch this." And so I sat one Saturday night in my bedroom because decided I wasn't going out, and marathoned everything that was already up, and yeah, that was how it started.
So, well, a lot of people in the fandom know. Well, obviously it's Carmilla, the official blog, and then there's Feels HQ. So how did that start?
That was basically, so the way it started up was when I opened up this little chat room. I was working from home a lot at that point, and I was like, I need people to talk to. So I started up this little sort of live chat room, and there became this little core group of us who were just in their own time, like constantly chatting, doing our thing. But I was sort of publicising that chat room from my personal blog, Slay This, and I was doing it so much, and I was posting so much Carmilla stuff from Slay This that I was like, okay, this is getting a bit ridiculous. So I decided to make up a side blog essentially, and it kind of it just started up as kind of a hub for the Feels HQ chat room and everything, and then it just sort of expanded.
Sort of uncontrollably.
Yeah, it just kind of went. And I guess because I was there early, and I was a sort of hub of reblogging GIFs and art and all that kind of crap. People were sort of using it as a hub for all this stuff.
So you were at the right place at the right time, sort of.
Very much so.
So when we met, we started talking about different theories we had. Now, I think we met during or before season 2 actually started. It was November. We met in November, so season 2 actually started at that point. And we started theorizing about different issues the characters had.
Yes.
So we both agreed that Perry is obviously OCD. To a degree, she actually has OCD, or as people from Jewish descent know it, the Jewish mother syndrome.
I feel like that might have been tempered slightly by the fact she was then possessed by the Dean.
So. But she was like that even before season 2. She was like, oh no, let me clean, and there.
Oh no, I mean it was lessened slightly in season 2 by the fact.
Oh yeah, it was lessened but she did start cleaning the blood, or supposedly started cleaning the blood.
Oh no, for sure. I think she demonstrates some absolute legit, some very solid sort of OCD tendencies rather than just sort of being, oh, I like to clean things. It borders on like.
She can't have things out of order.
Mm-hmm.
It's against all the things she believes in. That is an actual syndrome of the Jewish mother syndrome. It's a real thing, I swear. You have to grow up with a Jewish mother to know that, but it's like... It's
Wouldn't
terrible. Yeah, it usually impacts people from the 40s. So, laugh, we theorized, is Aspergic, or some form of it.
I've never really given that much thought.
Yeah, well, you theorized that Perry has OCD, which, I mean, probably 90% of the fandom assumed it. But my point of view is that Laugh shows a lot of tendencies of Asperger's.
I wouldn't. It's not something I would really feel that I was able to give a solid opinion on. Like, I have OCD myself, so I'm a little bit more inclined to be able to comment on Perry's behaviour and what's kind of going on in Perry's head.
That's why I theorized about Laugh, and you theorized about Perry.
But yeah, for sure, I couldn't
Yeah.
really offer an opinion on Laugh with any sort of...
How are their bio skills?
Mad bio skills.
That's the opinion you can give about Laugh. It's like...
That, yeah.
How good of scientists are they? It's like, I've never seen anyone in the lab with that big of a needle.
That is a large needle. I'm not entirely convinced that's regulation.
No, I don't think so. I think mostly it would be a needle if you want to check what kind of hormones there are in the blood when you're terrified of needles.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty legit theory. That's a very, very large needle.
Yeah. They have access to a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah. Again, not entirely sure that's all up on the up and up.
I'm pretty sure they steal stuff from the chemistry labs at that point.
It's probably a fair theory. There's some shit going on there.
Yeah, it's like, I'll grease your palm if you grease mine. It's like, what do you need? Ether. Season 1 was kind of cataclysmic, I think the word would be a good description.
That's pretty accurate.
It's like...
Literally cataclysmic.
It's like, this is a show about what? A gay broody vampire, a gay reporter, and a bio major who decided that they're not called Susan anymore. But to be honest, Susan is not a good name.
Also fair.
It's like, yeah. I would, if my name was Susan, I'd probably want to change it as well.
I think the sort of the fun, but the sort of interesting thing about season 1 is it does maintain this really sort of cheesy, fun, kind of campy feel right the way through. But when you kind of stop and think about what's going on and the fact that like people are dying, like people are just randomly being kidnapped and showing up, and they're having like brain parasites injected into them, and the dean's doing at this stage God knows what under Silas. It's
university. You just described university.
There's some pretty crazy shit going on under, under this sort of...
I don't know what your university does, but ours totally put parasites into people's brains, and people died on campus totally all the time. What do you think our props were?
Pretty sure there was never a demigod under my campus, but you never know.
I don't know how we got that funding to that TV studio. It's like, I'm pretty sure like dark magic.
Some interesting things going on there.
Yeah, my university was not normal. Perry would not approve.
Apparently normal.
No. Although she would have loved the Hanukkah. We had a lot of Hanukkah services.
Tends to happen when you're in a Jewish school.
Well, I do live in a Jewish country.
Mm-hmm.
So most of our universities are Jewish. Yeah, no, sheesh.
Hey, doggy.
Yeah, so in the first few episodes, we had Laura, who's like, yay, college, university experience, out of a small town, into Austria. Seriously, Austria?
I think that's it's something that's kind of, again, quite lovable about it, is the human aspect of it. And it's very much like you're going to college and you're like, this is so awesome, and you just think everything's going to be amazing, and then it's bad.
Yeah,
bad things happen.
Yeah, plus all the supernatural aspects of it are very slow burning. Like, even when you do know that Carmilla is a vampire, it's still not the forefront. It's like the whole supernatural aspect doesn't even take a step forward. It's just like, oh, Carmilla is a vampire, let's keep doing this.
Yeah, the supernatural aspect really doesn't kick in until much, much later on, when, you know, they're starting to try and research what this demon might be and what's going on. But no, very much like the first, 2/3 of the season they're very human.
Yeah.
And they're much about sort of building these characters and letting us know who they are.
They're very like, this is my experience, this is what's going on campus, this is sort of like investigatory stuff going on, and then we find out something like, moment supposedly everything flips, but it's not.
Yep.
It's like
I like that they sort of they edged into that supernatural aspect quite slowly, and
it wasn't
who these characters are as people.
Because it wasn't until actual season 2 when they started like, this is me, I'm a vampire, this is what I do. Don't try and stop me. And actually started delving more and more into the whole concept of supernatural.
Well, I think as well that was about building on say Carmilla's character as well, because the Carmilla that we meet in season 1, the fact that she's a vampire is not all that relevant in a way. But then it becomes more relevant in season 2, because you've got this character building going on, and you're looking more at sort of who Carmilla is and why she acts the way she does, and sort of what she believes in, and that's very, very tightly tied into the fact that she's a vampire, and, you know, she's lived for so long and she's seen so much shit, and she's just kind of become so apathetic towards the world in general, over the course of, 300 years.
Yeah. Plus, her sister comes into the picture, and just, her brother died twice, technically.
I mean, I think it's very, very clear though that Carmilla and Will really had no relationship.
Yeah, but Carmilla and JP oddly do. That's the weird part.
I think that's a really fun dynamic, actually. I kind of hope I would really like to see sort of some more of that later on.
Yeah, I kind of want her to tend to the sort of oldish baby vamp.
Yeah.
Because the body specifically is old, but the mind, like, has to zoom forward through about 100 years. And it's like,
I mean, the mind's old as well. JP's,
Yeah, JP is old, but, he's never been in a vampiric body. He was a mortal entity stuck in the Ethernet, and then it's like, oh, by the way, you're a supernatural being with a desire to drink blood. Have fun!
I can't decide, I can't decide whether JP's sort of backstory and the fact that he has been stuck in the Ethernet and everything for so long, if that would make it sort of more difficult or less difficult to adjust than, say, a human becoming a vampire. you're a human, you become a vampire, you become this sort of weird supernatural entity, but you're used to being in a body, whereas he's not used to having a body and not used to having physical form, but he's used to being a supernatural entity. So on balance, it's maybe.
But it's like theory versus practice. Like he had time to learn. Plus, he did say he learned about supernatural entities.
Yeah.
So he has the theory. Now he has to deal with the practice. It's kind of like reading books about fencing and then you get a sword in your hand. It's like, okay, what do I do with it now?
Yeah.
That's the closest thing I could think of.
That's pretty accurate.
I mean, both cases you can die and kill.
I think it'd be pretty interesting to see where the whole JP thing goes. I do quite like the idea of him, because Carmilla, for all that she's very old, is she's a bit of a teenager at the same time. I think it'd be quite interesting to see the dynamic between the two of them a bit more.
Yeah, it would be very much like, it's kind of she has a second chance at being a big sister. Well, let's see if she takes it.
Yeah.
But now that she's kind of, because now she's kind of in the middle. After we seen her in season 0, we kind of seen her like in middle ground between the two extremes she's been in season 2 and season 1. Because in season 1 she was like, I don't care about anything, I don't know what I'm doing. And then in season 2 she was just like, fuck this, I'm a vampire, I'm gonna like kill people, I'm gonna drink blood, I don't give a rat's ass about you. And then in season 0 she's like, stay with me, I love you, don't go. So it's kind of interesting to see what will happen in season 3, because now she's stuck, as far as we know, underground or wherever the library is. I thought it's like, and they have to deal with the fact that, as far as we know, she has no food sources, and except for Laura and Laugh. Please don't eat Laugh.
Leave them both alone. I'm sure they'll manage something.
Yeah. Blood donations. It's a thing. It's like once a week. So, as far as we know, well, Carmilla doesn't have food sources, but Laura has gunk that's, God knows how old it is, from the vending machine. And we don't know.
That's the important thing.
What?
They're managing, that's the important thing.
Sure. I really don't understand how she doesn't have scurvy. Suck on a lemon. No, literally. So, they're stuck and we don't know how they'll come out, but the point is that we don't know what mindset Carmilla will come out, because Laura sort of was persistent. She became wiser and less naive, but she did stay with the sort of same mental space.
I think, well, I would argue that, right up until the sort of the last minute when Laura kills Wardenberg to save Carmilla, Laura still very much has this view of black and white, and there's good and there's bad and there's a right thing to do and a wrong thing to do. And it's very clear that kind of in that moment when she realises that she has to do this bad thing it is bad killing somebody, but she has to do this thing that's against everything she believes in, because she can't let Carmilla die. That's not right. So it may be wrong to kill Wardy, but it's also wrong to just let Carmilla die. So I think that's, you can sort of really see that, like, that's kind of shattered her whole perception of the world, and she's really realising now that she can't sort of look at things like that. And I mean, I don't think that it's just going to be like that and we're going to come back and she's going to be, fantastic at the way she views things. I think there's always going to be that kind of naivety and that.
Because despite
looking for sort of,
as far as we know on that timeline, it's only been a few months.
It hasn't been long at all.
Yeah, it's been like 2 or 3 months, as far as we know. And people don't change that radically that fast. So obviously she'll still retain some form of naivety, but she's also changed and grown because she was kind of thrust into it, so she kind of has to. But
she's also very much seen that no matter how much she thinks she's doing the right thing, and no matter how often she takes the right action, the sort of the morally white action, things keep going wrong because there's never that clear cut.
Because the white knight can't stay clean forever.
Exactly.
Sort of. Now I have to say I'm now imagining like Laura Hollis in an armor, and it's tiny because she's Laura Hollis, and I'm laughing, but she's only like an inch shorter than me. But I can't say that to a lot of people, so Laura Hollis, you're short.
Carmilla, I'm your roommate, sweetheart.
See? Blood in the milk container. In my creepy roommate's milk container. Danny Lawrence. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but she's nocturnal, she's so strong, she's at least 80 years old, and she drinks blood.
Well, yeah, but we know she's a vampire. I mean, we've known that since the blood in the milk container, right? Vampire, 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 yeah?
I demand this stops happening. Just be normal. Just be normal.
I don't want to be Susan anymore.
Well, that's too bad, because she was my friend. I don't even know who you are anymore.
It had a resolved scandal. How was a Walton scandal? Partners were face to face, chest to chest, all of that. In 1698, it may as well have been sex.
It's just that you were dead, and now you're not, and I know that you're probably through a lot of stuff with your mom. It's just... who exactly are you?
Didn't you get the press release? I'm Matt Scabellon, chair of the Silas Board of Governors. And you're the meddling teenager who murdered my mother.
Nobody else sees that, right? The naked vampire I killed last year is not standing behind me, right?
There's no way for you to fight this. No spell for you to write this. No way for you to hide from the